The biggest political mystery in Florida today is in a name. Whose will be anointed and appointed by Governor Charlie Crist to the U.S. Senate seat being vacated by Mel Martinez? And are the disruptive protests at national health care reform town hall meetings part of an orchestrated campaign from the right? All of that today on Power Play with our guests, Shannon Colavecchio of the St. Petersburg Times and Mike Vasalinda of Capital News Service. The whole political world in Florida abuzz about the biggest mystery, which is who's going to be Governor Charlie Crist's pick to fill the U.S. Senate seat that Mel Martinez is vacating. What's on the street?
I'm hearing that George Lemieux definitely wants that seat very much.
The guy who is primarily responsible for Governor Crist's election in terms of campaign strategy.
Right. He's loyal. He's safe. He certainly doesn't want the seat full term, after 2010. So I think that could be a choice.
Well, here you have it. The application you got to fill out to be a U.S. Senator in Florida, and no one's filled it out as of Friday morning. But in addition to Lemieux, Jim Smith. I think Jim Smith is probably the safest pick.
Former Democrat, became a Republican, former Secretary of State, former Attorney General.
Father-in-law of the governor's biggest fundraiser.
So what's key here is the common ground you're both discussing is someone the governor trusts, someone who likely won't run, someone who will do nothing to embarrass but probably will distinguish the job in this little more than a year.
Well, and if you noticed, the governor was asked on Thursday in Port Charlotte if he would appoint someone that might be running for it, and he said, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. Who would ask the question even? So.
Well, it's your newspaper, the St. Petersburg Times, that editorialized that the governor should not appoint a lobbyist.
Right.
I don't know if it was directed at Jim Smith, who is a lobbyist, but Jim Smith's a different kind of lobbyist. He's highly regarded by Democrats and Republicans and kind of reached a statesman status. And isn't it front runner for Jim Smith?
I could definitely see that. He does have a list of, when you go on the lobbyist registry, he has a list of like 60 clients that are representing every major issue in state government right now. Or close
among
to
the
it.
names that showed up on a SAFE Review website poll, not scientific clearly, people could only vote once. Dan Webster, the former speaker, 25% for him. Jim Smith, 15%. Other names that came up, count them two, Bob Martinez's, one the former governor, one the former U.S. attorney, George Lemieux, Clay Shaw, Jeb Bush, Alan Benz, Jim Greer, Jeff Kottkamp.
Lots of people already said they didn't want it. Remember, Dan Webster really flirted with running for this seat when Mel Martinez was running. Dangerous pick for the governor because of the conservative right there. That is Rubio's base that's out there, probably clicking on that.
But let's go back to where you began this conversation. Safe picks for the governor, which would also be good picks in terms of trust, would be George Lemieux or Jim Smith. Is there anybody else that's reaching that level of likelihood?
Well, Bill Cotterill said he wanted the job in a column, so he could work.
I am not running for that seat, just for the record.
And I was going to fill this out and chose not to.
All right. President Obama's proposed national health care reform is triggering town hall meetings chaired largely by members of Congress around the country. Here in Florida, instead of civility, it's been close to civil war. The one held by Kathy Castor down in Tampa was hugely disruptive. Is it part of a national campaign by the right?
I think it is part of a campaign by the right, but I also, at the town hall meeting in Monticello, what I think I saw there was a lot of people, basically middle-class people who had health insurance that were worried they were going to lose it. They worked hard to get that health insurance, and they're scared stiff it's going to go away.
Did the administration miscalculate how this was going to play out in the hustings?
I think they did, because I think health care is a huge issue. It is a life or death issue for a lot of people, and I think that, and in particular in Florida, where you have so many people who are older, they depend on that health care, and I don't know that some of the elected officials who are holding these meetings are doing an effective job of really answering questions. And I think there's a lot of misperceptions out there, and the information might not be really clearly going out to people the way it should.
And it's 50-50 in the polls. There's not this big groundswell, give us health care reform.
Correct.
I think he bit off more than he can chew. He should have fixed the economy. Granted, there may never be more Democrats in Congress than there are right now during his administration, but I think he should have made sure the economy was solid and made this a second-term issue.
Well, they say the political capital of a president should be the greatest in the first couple of years of that first term, but if he's spending it on this, we still don't know the outcome. Not looking good so far.
Right, and his approval ratings are dropping, and I think this is a part of it.
Because of this issue. Let's go to your respective power plays of the week. Michael.
I've got to say it's the outpouring of support for Wade Hopping at his funeral, at his reception. 500-600 people, all very distinguished people from town. His son saying if he was looking down, he'd be asking, What do you people don't have any work to do?
And, you know, you can marry up the phrases when it comes to Wade Hopping, distinguished lobbyist.
Yes.
Shannon.
I'm going to go with the Palm Beach County Republican Party's censure vote of the governor. It was a tie vote. They did not actually do it, but I do think it is illustrative of the issues with the conservative base of the party. I think that there is concern among the campaign.
Okay, Shannon Colavecchio, Mike Vasalinda, thank you both very much. For the latest political news, go to the Safety Review, and we'll see you next time on Power Play.